I sat in the green room of the country's biggest morning show, watching the national television cameras line up right in front of me. The makeup artist smoothed my jacket, whispering that millions of viewers were tuned in live. My phone buzzed in my lap, a frantic text from my mother. "Please don't do this. You're embarrassing the family." I almost laughed. 3 days ago, when I begged my parents to attend my industry award ceremony, my dad called my career a stupid, embarrassing little hobby and refused to buy a ticket. They thought throwing away my invitation meant throwing away my future. Follow my story until the end, and comment below the city or country you're watching from so I can see how far my story has reached. They had no idea that their refusal didn't destroy my big night. It set the stage for my ultimate revenge. I sat across from my parents at the dinner table, my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. In my purse was an envelope that represented 7 years of unpaid bills, missed birthday parties, and late nights spent coding in a cramped apartment. My name is Maya Vance. At 27 years old, I've spent my entire adult life trying to get my parents to see me. Really see me. To them, my younger brother Julian was the golden child, the sensible 24-year-old who followed in my father's footsteps into traditional corporate finance. Meanwhile, I was the daughter who took a wild gamble on tech, building an accessibility app designed to help visually impaired individuals navigate complex public transit systems. It was grueling, unglamorous work, but I loved it. That morning, everything changed. I opened an email that made my breath catch. I had been chosen as the recipient of the prestigious National Innovation Award. The gala was in 2 weeks, a black tie affair held at the grandest hotel downtown. Winners were given 3 prime seats at the head table. As I pulled the heavy, embossed invitations from my bag, my hands trembled. I wasn't just holding tickets to a ceremony. I was holding what I hoped would be the bridge to fix my broken family. I naively believed that after years of being the invisible daughter, this achievement would finally force my parents to admit they were proud of me. "Pass the roast beef, Maya," my father said, not even looking up as I placed the sleek, silver-embossed envelope on the table between his plate and my mother's wine glass. "What's this?" my mother asked, picking it up with 2 fingers as if it were a suspicious piece of junk mail. "I won the National Innovation Award for my accessibility app," I said, leaning forward, my voice practically shaking with excitement. "It's a black tie gala at the Grand Regency Hotel. I got 3 VIP front row tickets so you, Dad, and Julian could come celebrate with me." My father paused, setting his fork down with a loud, metallic clink. He stared at the silver card, then slowly raised his eyes to mine. "A tech trophy?" he sneered, shaking his head. "Maya, we thought you were finally going to tell us you got a real job. You're 27, still chasing the stupid, embarrassing little hobby while your brother is actually climbing the corporate ladder." "It's not a hobby, Dad. It's a real company, and this is a major industry award," I pleaded, my chest tightening. My mother didn't even open the envelope. She just tossed it back onto the table. "Well, we certainly aren't getting dressed up on a Saturday night for some made-up trophy. Besides, Julian's new girlfriend is visiting that weekend. Why don't you give us the tickets so Julian can take her out to network with actual executives?" "No," I said, a rare surge of defiance rising in my throat. "These seats are for my family to support me." My dad's face flushed deep red. "Then consider them wasted." He snatched up the envelope, ripped it cleanly in half, and dropped it right into the kitchen trash can. "You'll never amount to anything real, Maya. Stop bothering us with your foolish little dreams." The glass chandeliers of the Grand Regency Ballroom glittered overhead, throwing warm light across a sea of tailored tuxedos and evening gowns. Anyone looking at me would have seen a successful young woman in a floor-length navy dress, but inside, I felt entirely hollow. I took my seat at table 4, right near the main stage. Positioned directly beside me were 2 empty chairs, marked with velvet reserve tags that felt like heavy lead weights on my chest. Surrounding us were other award recipients, laughing and taking photos with parents who looked at them with glowing pride. Every time someone asked why my guests hadn't arrived yet, I managed a tight, practiced smile and whispered that they'd been unexpectedly delayed. It was easier than telling the truth. When my name was finally called, The applause echoed through the hall. I walked up the stairs, my heels clicking against the polished wood, and accepted the heavy crystal trophy from the presenter. Standing at the podium, looking out at a crowd of hundreds of strangers, the lump in my throat almost choked me. I spoke from the heart, not about algorithms or market growth, but about resilience, about building tools to help people navigate a world that often ignores them, and about learning to find your own light when those closest to you choose to leave you in the dark. I had no idea that in the third row, a senior executive producer for the country's most watched morning television show was hanging on to every single word I said. The applause was still ringing in my ears as I stepped off the stage, cradling the cool crystal award against my ribs. I made a straight path toward the back exit, desperate to escape the room full of happy families, but a sharp voice cut through the chatter. "Maya Vance? Hold on a second, please." I turned to see a woman in her late 50s with sharp eyeglasses, a tailored blazer, and a lanyard that marked her as VIP media. She extended a hand with a warm, genuine smile. "I'm Sarah Lynn, executive producer for Good Morning America," she said. "I sat through 20 speeches tonight, Maya, but yours was the only one that gave me goosebumps." I blinked, stunned. "Thank you. That means a lot. Your app is revolutionary, but your poise up on that stage, it's magnetic," Sarah continued, stepping closer. "We have a live 3 million viewer audience every morning. I want you in our New York studio this Thursday for a prime 7-minute live demonstration and interview." My heart did a sudden, violent flip. Live television? On a Thursday morning? 8:15 a.m. sharp, Sarah said, handing me her glossy black business card. "It's the highest-rated slot of the broadcast." As I took the card, a cold, sudden realization hit me like a splash of ice water. Thursday at 8:15 a.m. was the exact time my parents sat down together in their breakfast nook with the kitchen television turned on, just before Dad left for the office. They had refused to sit in the audience for my biggest night, but in 2 days, they wouldn't have a choice but to watch me from their own home. The glaring studio lights burned bright overhead, casting a warm glow across the sleek glass desk of the country's top morning show. The floor manager signaled 3 fingers, then 2, then a silent one. We were live. Sitting across from me was the iconic morning anchor, her professional smile radiating warmth as the teleprompter rolled. "Welcome back," she began, looking directly into the camera lens. "Today, we're joined by Maya Vance, creator of the groundbreaking new transit app that just secured the prestigious National Innovation Award." For the next 4 minutes, I demonstrated the app, walking millions of viewers through the audio navigation tech I'd spent 7 grueling years perfecting. The anchor leaned in, clearly impressed. "It's an incredible achievement, Maya," she said softly. Then, off script, her eyes sparkled with genuine curiosity. "Your parents must be overwhelmingly proud. Were they crying in the front row when you walked up to accept that trophy?" The studio went dead silent. A tiny voice in my head urged me to play along, to protect the family image and utter a polite lie. But I looked straight into that main camera, knowing my parents were sitting in their sunny breakfast nook right now, coffee mugs in hand. "Actually, no," I said, my voice steady, calm, and painfully clear. "My parents called my career a stupid, embarrassing hobby and threw their invitations in the trash. But I realized something on that stage. You don't need permission from people who refuse to see your worth to keep shining." The producer gasped behind the monitor, but I just smiled. The truth was finally out. The moment the camera cut to a commercial break, my phone exploded in my purse like a ticking time bomb. High-pitched, frantic buzzes echoed relentlessly against the studio floor. I stepped into the green room, unlocked my screen, and watched history unfold. The 7-second clip of my answer had already been ripped from the broadcast and posted online. Within 45 minutes, hashtag Maya Vance and hashtag Stupid Hobby were trending nationally on social media. Millions of strangers were flooding the internet, expressing outrage at my parents' cruelty and rallying behind my app. Over 50,000 new users downloaded my software before I even left the building. Then came the frantic calls. 47 missed calls from my mother. 23 from my father. A series of furious text messages from my brother, Julian. "What the hell did you just do? Dad's business partners are calling him." Mom is hysterically crying. You're humiliating our entire family over a stupid misunderstanding. You need to release a statement and apologize right now. I sat down on the plush green room couch, clutching a warm cup of tea, and listened to a voicemail my father had left just 2 minutes prior. His voice wasn't booming or authoritative anymore. It was shaking, cracked with desperation and panic. Maya, please turn off the news. Call us back. We can talk about this like family. For 27 years, I had bent over backward trying to appease them, sacrificing my peace to keep theirs intact. But looking at those frantic notifications, I felt no guilt. I felt no urge to issue an apology. The mask had been ripped away, and I was done protecting the people who had spent my whole life minimizing me. That viral broadcast didn't just expose the truth, it completely transformed my life. Within 48 hours of my live TV appearance, major venture capital firms reached out to invest. By the end of the month, I secured $2 million in funding, allowing me to hire a full team and bring my transit app to cities across the globe. Financial independence, the very thing my family swore I'd never achieve, was finally mine. I used my success to buy a beautiful high-rise apartment overlooking the city skyline, a sanctuary where I could finally breathe without the constant weight of judgment. As for my parents, the fallout was undeniable. The local community held them accountable for their cruelty, and my father's business associates distanced themselves, appalled by his lack of character. They tried reaching out through mutual relatives, sending desperate messages asking to meet for dinner. But I politely declined. I wasn't being bitter. I was simply setting a boundary. I realized that blood doesn't give anyone the right to tear down your dreams. Looking back, their rejection was the greatest gift they ever gave me. It stripped away my need for their validation and forced me to step into my own power. My parents thought throwing away those tickets was the end of my story, but it was actually the catalyst for my greatest victory. Now, I'm curious about you who are listening to my story. What would you have done if you were in my place? Would you have spoken the truth on national television, or would you have protected your family's feelings to keep the peace? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the video on screen right now for another jaw-dropping story. Thank you for watching.